Day 201 of the war in Gaza and the long-anticipated IDF operation in Rafah appears to be drawing close, with tent camps emerging for the mass evacuation of the city. The IDF is readying the Rafah operation while also dealing with Hamas operatives returning to areas of Gaza previously controlled by the army. More from ILTV's Steve Leibowitz.
Satellite imagery shows the expansion of refugee tent camps near Khan Yunis and Rafah in the southern Gaza Strip, where empty lands have been filled in ahead of the expected army offensive into the densely populated Rafah area that is refuge to some 1.3 million residents, many evacuated from homes earlier in the war. The IDF will reportedly begin the Rafah operation after giving civilians passage to evacuate to tent complexes outside of the battle zones during the next 4 to 5 weeks. The operation will move forward in stages after a division of Rafah into defined areas. The IDF will inform the local population before they advance into each area so that the local population can evacuate before the IDF moves forward. Prime Minister Netanyahu hinted at the coming operation in Rafah and elsewhere in Gaza aimed at eliminating remaining Hamas strongholds.
ננחית עליו מכות נוספות וכואבות, וזה יקרה בקרוב. בימים הקרובים נגביר את הלחץ הצבאי והמדיני על חמאס, כי זאת הדרך היחידה לשחרר את חטופינו ולהשיג את ניצחוננו.
Air and limited ground operations were carried out in several areas of Gaza that had been cleared of terrorists during earlier stages of the war. The IDF largely withdrew ground forces and Hamas returned in several locations. The IDF Arabic spokesman warned civilians to evacuate from fighting zones in the Strip's north as the army launches missions at Beit Lahia and Beit Hanun. Israeli airstrikes intensified with some of the heaviest shelling in weeks. Strikes by air and shelling from tanks on the ground were also carried out in central and southern areas of Gaza. The IDF was targeting Hamas rocket launching positions in southern Gaza. Dozens of airstrikes were carried out across Gaza over the past day, targeted buildings used by the terror group, observation posts, rocket launching sites, and other infrastructure and operatives. The renewed shelling and bombing of northern Gaza comes almost 4 months after the Israeli army announced it was drawing down its troops there, saying it had dismantled Hamas's military framework in the area. Troops in the Nachal Brigade launched a new pinpoint operation against Hamas in the central Gaza Strip corridor. The operation is ongoing during the Passover holiday. The army said the surprise operation was aimed at deepening achievements in the Netzarim corridor along the north-south highway.